Hello. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the second webinar in the Securities, Wealth and Asset Management series, titled Preparing Your Child to Face the Ever-Changing World. My name is Oluwayemisi Ogumola. I'll be your moderator for today. The webinar is brought to you by EDC Fund Management Limited, the asset management subsidiary of ETI, a leading Pan-African financial service provider. The verse I started with today is to set the tone for this webinar, and that is we're trying to set a strong foundation for every child to grow up in, because we know that the healthy development of children is crucial to the future well-being of any society. In Ecoban, as we see that this is very important, we have decided to educate and inform parents more on such topics. The agenda for today's webinar is very simple. We're going to kickstart with our opening address by our country head of the Securities, Wealth and Asset Management business. Then we have two seasoned speakers that will give us wonderful presentations on this topic. Then after that, we have a Q&A session. Then we round up with our closing remark. The whole webinar should not be more than 1 hour. The Q&A box is open for all your questions for the two speakers and for someone from EDC Fund Management also, so that you can know more about the kind of products and services we offer. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. So let's get the ball rolling by me welcoming our head of SWAM, Securities, Wealth and Asset Management, Mr. Fela Popola, to give us all the welcome address. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Yemisi, for that introduction. What Yemisi failed to tell you is that I'm also a father, proud father of 3 children, so I'm eagerly waiting to hear what our speakers have to say. On that note, I would like to say a big thank you to our speakers. I know it's not easy taking time out to provide your services, but I'm also eagerly excited and waiting to hear from you. Special thanks again to the audience for tuning in. We know that you would rather do other things, but to be with EDC today, we're eternally grateful. I thought it would be good to give you a bit of a background on who EDC is. Like Yemisi said, we're the asset management subsidiary of ETI in Nigeria, and we provide investment solutions and services, wealth management services for corporates and individual investors. For us, what is key for these groups of people is we allow them to achieve whatever goal they set for themselves, whether it's short, medium, or long term. And we provide investment solutions, whether it's in local currency or foreign currency, such that they are able to meet their goals and needs. For the individual particularly, I think that's the one that is a bit trickier because individuals have varying goals. One thing that we tell them is that you need to articulate whatever goals you have, such that you are able to meet them. We do this through what we call financial planning principles. And basically what we are saying is that whatever goal you've articulated, whether it's children's education, whether it's retirement, whether it's for a special event, you need to ensure that you take steps and plans to make sure those things are achieved. And that is where we come in. You know, we are able to guide you along the way and provide an investment plan and solution for you such that those key events are met. Extremely important, and that's really what we do at EDC for the individual. Taking it a step further, we also realize that almost everyone that I know wants to leave a legacy for their children or their families. And that legacy could be anything from education, inheritance, what have you. But one thing that is pertinent as well is to ensure that these children that we have, you know, are able to fend for themselves in the future. And the future starts from when they're born. You know, we need to ensure that they are given the tools to navigate this difficult world that we live in. Admittedly, the times that we live in now are totally different from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when many of us were born. And honestly, it takes courage and it takes guts to succeed in these times. Hence the reason why we asked the speakers to come and give us some insights. Again, I'm certain that many of you are professional guardians, parents, counselors, and you probably know it all. But I always say that there is nothing better than taking a refresher course, taking some points that you think will be pertinent to applying to your own situation. So our advice that you please sit back, relax, enjoy, and spend a few minutes with us whilst we take you through this journey. Thank you very much and have a very good webinar.
Thank you, Fela, for that great welcome address. So straight to the business of today. I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Mrs. Atinuke Kuti. She's a motivational speaker, Montessori-trained edutainment consultant, and a seasoned parenting coach with over 15 years of working with mothers, children, and schools, organizing creative, fun-filled, and educative events and activities. She's the founder of the Ecoban Mother Circle, JMC, a platform that seeks to raise intentional mothers who would be like Ecoban and raise changing agents to transform the society by adopting the right parenting principles in the first 3 to 6 years of life and continue building firmly through the different stages of the child's life. She's also the founder of the Eye of the Storm, a platform that helps people going through turbulent season to navigate the storm. Please let us all welcome Mrs. Atinuke Kuti. Thank you. Mrs. Kuti, we can't hear you. Please, can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Okay, good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. All protocols duly observed. Sorry about that. All protocols duly observed. Special thanks to the EDC management. My mic, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you well.
Okay. Good day, everyone. All protocols observed. Special thanks to the EDC management and team for having me be a co-speaker today. I'm grateful to God and them for this opportunity. Today, we will be looking at the topic, preparing your child to face the ever-changing world. And I will be approaching this topic by talking about how we can position ourselves to ensure the total well-being of our children. I crave your indulgence to take a minute to share my slides with you. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, thank you. Okay, so due to the limited time that I have, I would not be going into deep details, but I'll just take us through the tips that we need to know. We cannot talk about a child navigating this ever-changing terrain, this ever-increasing complex world without emphasizing the total well-being of the child by the parent as a key component. So we need to first understand who a parent is. Who a parent is, the well-being of a child is as good as the parent, because the parent is in charge of the child. So that brings us to the question, who indeed is a parent? Who is a parent? We can ask ourselves that question. But the dictionary meaning of a parent is a caregiver of the offspring in their own species. Okay, so a parent basically is the caregiver of the offspring in their own species. A total parent, however, is much more. And so I'm going to be taking you through this toolkit to help you identify if you are a total parent or not. This toolkit is going to show us the different hats that parents must wear to make up a total parent. And so I have it as an acronym, BIGTECC. I call it Big Tech. When you look at the pie of the Big Tech, by the time we're done, you'll be able to tell what is the composition of your pie. Are you a complete or a total parent? Parenting intentionally to excel is what I have called the pie. So how well are we parenting intentionally to excel? And so we're going to be looking at the points, this checklist that would help us to check. You can even begin to check the boxes as I speak along. Am I doing this? Do I belong here? Am I falling short in this area, and how can I improve and work on it? So like I said, the acronym is Big Tech. A total parent is a biological donor, that is either the sperm or egg donor, biological father or biological mother. However, yes, we have room for adoption. So that's if you're ticking the check, if you've adopted a child, you're ticking the boxes. Of course, you're not going to tick the biological donor. That doesn't make you less of a parent, but we're just, trying to look at the check, the tools that can help us to be able to take care of these children and help develop them so that they are ready for this world that they are in. Okay, so instructor. As an instructor, discipline the children to develop their mental abilities, reasoning and thinking process. Discipline is a series of instructions given out by the instructor to groom the person that is being instructed. Discipline is not beating. A lot of time we're like, oh, when you hear discipline, people think, oh, it is beating. No, discipline is not beating. Beating is one of the consequences of not obeying instructions that leads to discipline. So beating is not effective if attention of the child has not been drawn to the instructions. If the child cannot be given proper instructions, then you cannot justify, beating the child for something that the child does not understand. So an instructor takes time to give instruction to help build the mental ability of the child. Guardian. As a guardian, you provide shelter for the child. Provide shelter, provide security, material, financial or physical protection, provides physical need. As a guardian, you are the gatekeeper, you are the custodian. Either you're a foster parent or not, either you're a biological parent, you are the custodian, you are the guardian of that child, you are the gatekeeper, you are the one that would allow whatever exposure, whether good or bad. So you're meant to man that gate and prevent bad exposure from coming the way of the child. As a teacher, you teach values. You teach family values. You teach your children, the child, family values. You teach cultural values. The onus is on us parents to teach our children all of these values: cultural values, family values, the family traditions, what is obtainable in this family, how we behave in this family, what we allow in this family, what we permit and what we would not permit. So as a teacher, you teach these values at home: etiquette, how they behave, their rhythm, all of this is taught at home. Their relationship with God is taught at home. And then, of course, academic intelligence. You're supposed to also help them out with their schoolwork, with their academic work, help them to develop their academic intelligence as well as a teacher. Caregiver. As a caregiver, we cater to the emotional and mental health need of the child. Safety precautions, where the child is meant to go, how the child is meant to keep safe. You're meant to be concerned about the safety of the child at all levels. You're meant to help build the emotional tank of the child. You're helped to give emotional support to the child. And as a coach, you're meant to build the mental health as well of the child, instruct the child, build the child's self-esteem. Nobody else is going to help you build your child's self-esteem. You have to start building the esteem before relying on others to do that. How do you instruct the child at home? What vibes do you give the child at home? How do you commend the child at home? Give the child positive affirmations, encouragement, and so on. So understanding the child's makeup and understanding the child's makeup and willing to work patiently with the child to bring out the best. Identify the strengths and weaknesses in order to help the child achieve and improve. Discover and develop the hidden potentials or talents that's in that child. And when you are able to do all of this, then you are parenting intentionally to excel. So my question to you is, how complete are you in this pie? How involved are you in your children's life? There is no shortcuts whatsoever to parenting. Parenting is like baking. It's like baking, and there are different child developmental stages to parenting. So I liken the first stage, which is known as the absorbent mind stage, I liken that to making of the dough. Making of the dough, because this is a programming year. This is when you program your child to succeed. You program your child to behave. This is when etiquette is being taught. This is when soft skills are supposed to be taught. This is when the child is supposed to know the right things to do. This is when discipline is actually needed. This is a time when the child actually should be disciplined. This is when you let the child know what is right and what is wrong. This is when you let the child this is when you let the child follow rules and regulations, because in this season the child is able to absorb perfectly. The child copies everything that you do. The child soaks up everything in the environment like a sponge. The brain of the child is flexible, it's able to absorb, and the brain wave that operates during this period is the delta and the theta brain wave, which occurs during sleep in adults. So mostly psychologists actually say that children are like in an hypnotic trance during this period. They are moving around like a living zombie, so to speak, like they have just woken up, or they are in a deep sleep. And so they are programmable. Highly programmable. So you have to be careful. You want to be careful what it is that you want them to be able to absorb during this period. And then the next stage, which is the 7 to 11, is like letting the dough rise. After making the dough, you let the dough rise. So whatever it is that you have imputed in the first stage, you're actually letting it rise in the second stage. So if you have not imputed well in the first stage, you still have the opportunity between the ages of 7 to 11 to begin to make adjustments, to begin to correct the child. It's not going to be easy, because by the age of 7, the temperament of a child is fully formed. So it means that you're going to be meeting with a lot of you're going to be meeting, the child is going to put up a lot of opposition. So but you're going to have to begin to look at the dough. Is it rising well? You can make those adjustments before the child is of age. During this period, the child applies logic to everything. Lot of explanation is needed to pass across your message. So you need a lot of patience. They manifest what they have learned in the previous last 6 years, and the brainwave that is, that has kicked in, apart from the first two brainwave in the first stage, is the beta brainwave. This one is giving them dominance because they are growing. It is more analytical. So they are thinking, they are analyzing things. They are being logical here. They know things. They're beginning to understand better. So you can't trick them like you would have in the first stage. And when this stage is over, they move on to the next stage, which is the ages 12 to 8. And at the ages 12 to 8, your dough is ready to be baked. Your dough is ready to go into the oven. And you see, at this stage, it is whatever you put in the oven that you're going to get. So if you put the dough in the oven and it doesn't rise, it means that it was not properly made in the first 6 years and then the next 6 years. And so here, trying to correct, you would need a lot of patience, because then here they are like almost going into adulthood and they can challenge you. So, but you need to be a bit more patient here in, attending to them, because everything that has been imputed in the last 12 years is what is going to be manifesting here, whether good or bad. They apply general knowledge to most situations here. They interpret events based on their own point of view. They are more sophisticated and complicated. They engage in more sophisticated and complicated relationships with others and even with themselves. They see things in different shades of gray. They don't see things as black and white anymore. They have a reason for everything. They can explain of everything to you. So pretty much at this stage, they are already becoming the adults that first 12 years has made them. And so as I talk about the 4 cardinal things that children need for their well-being. The first is safety. They need to know that they are safe. They need to absolutely trust you, to trust that you are making the right decision for them. Keeping them safe is very, very important. Safety also entails ensuring that their future is safe. They need to feel and hear and see that you love them. They need your words of affirmation. They need your presence. They don't just need your presence. They need your presence. They don't just need your money. They need your presence. They need to know that you are there for them. The things that you know is not the things that you buy for them, really. It is you being there for them to make them happy. They need stability, sense of unity, one the family, sense of future security. That will always be there for them. They need and discipline. They don't like or want this. No child likes to be disciplined, but they need it, and it is on us, to discipline them. So we cannot leave them to themselves. They have too much energy, which can be self-destruct if channeled, if not channeled. And discipline helps them to develop long life skills, lifelong skills. So you need to discipline them so that they can become adults that you want to see in the future, that change agent of the future, that adult that would be able to stand the test of time, because their adulthood will test them, will test everything, every trait, every skill that you have allowed or not allowed them to develop. Perseverance to test that. So as I conclude, the parents are the earthly custodian of the child, and as such should equip the child with the right environment to create himself in order to become a real man and a change agent, so as to be able to navigate through the different terrains to achieve his purpose in life. Welcome to Parenting Intentionally to Excel in the 21st century. So my question to you right now as I close is, am I a total parent? I want you to ask yourself, am I a total parent? And then go through those checklists and begin to look at where you need to make amendments, where you have fallen short of, and determine that I can do it. I can make the amendment so that these ones can have a great future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Kuti, for that wonderful presentation. And I'm asking myself that same question, am I a total parent? So for us all, the key takeaways from Mrs. Kuti's presentations are, the well-being of a child is as good as the parent. We must create the right environment for the child to be able to navigate through the different terrains to achieve his or her purpose in life. And also, we must be intentional parents to excel. I'm sure we've all taken that. And from even the little I've heard from her, I'm sure we're going to have a second webinar on this topic, just her alone speaking. So we now go to our second speaker, Mrs. Antonia Omoze. Mrs. Antonia Omoze is a professional, experienced, and self-motivated elementary educator with a strong dedication to the total development of children in the private education sector. She has worked in different capacity in strategic and planning, curriculum and content development, staff training and empowerment for over 2 decades. She's presently the head of schools at Standard Bearer School at Lekki. Recently, she led the team that prepared children ages 7 to 11 for Asylum Olympics 2020 based international competition. Our team was among the top 3 finalists for Africa. She's also engaged in Sponsor a Child and Keep Their Dreams Alive as a personal drive in giving back to the community. Please, let's all welcome Mrs. Antonia Omoze. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Entire crew, EDC, Fund Management Limited, and Ecoban as a whole, country head, all protocols due and observed. I just want to say thank you very much for having me this evening. This evening is a very special evening because it has to do with talking about preparing children for the evolving or ever-changing world that we are in today. And so I'm not going to waste too much time, but I'm going to share my slides immediately. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at it from the perspective of an educator. Actually, this season has brought on so much uncertainty. Fear, limited physical contact, high convergence on digital media, technology, and our operating environment is constantly evolving. So now the question is, how tolerant are we to change? What is our mindset, tool set, skill set? What is your paradigm shift? How do you react to situations? How do you react? So we're going to be looking at adaptability in the sense of how we see things, how we value life, and how we react to ideas and new innovations and so many other things. So now adaptability is just a process of successfully adapting from old ways to a new one, change of approach to doing things. Adapting to change is what keeps us valuable at the forefront of the competitive edge. It opens our mind to new ideas. It makes you question and go against convention. So before I can go on, I would like us to look at a very small activity that I want us to engage in. So the question is, how do you see and react to the situation and the world around you? The warm-up exercise for everybody this afternoon is to look at this phrase. If it is not broken, I need you to complete it. So you can go to the question and answer chat room and just type in your phrase to complete this one, make it a complete sentence. So I need you to quickly go there and type in something. I want it to be interactive. The question and answer, yes, I want you to go there immediately. If it is not broken, do we have some answers? Maybe Missy can help us. Do we have some answers? Okay. So yes, some people must have typed in that if it is not broken, can you see my date? If it is not broken, then let's leave it as it is. If it is not broken, let's fix it. If it is not broken, let's break it and make it better. If it is not broken, we can just break it up and remodel it. Whatever your answer is, it simply shows your paradigm shift. So if you are one of those people who say that if it's not broken, let's just leave it, then you have a different. And if you are one of those that say, if it is not broken, let's break it and remake it. Or if it's not broken, let's remodel it. If it is not broken, let's make it better. I'll be fine. So that takes off back to the mindset I'm talking. And so in educator's perspective, we look at the curriculum. The curriculum is the planned learning experiences. Now, for the evolving world, it is very, very important that you inculcate the mindset and skill set, paradigm skill. That is, the mindset of the child has to be tuned in such a way that the child is open, the child is ever questioning, it's inquisitive. We give them the opportunity to speak out their mind and to help them discover new things. So as their mind continues to open to learning, they move further into learning new things, innovation, and very creative. And so the school develops improved STEM education in science, in technology, engineering, and math. All these are improved upon so that the child can have a good learning experience, and the child will have in place a lot of things that will put him or her in the competitive edge, because now the child is more empowered, thinking critically over problems, becoming a good problem solver, collaborative skills, working with other children in a team, and even more than that, with tech skills in the new generation. With the COVID that happened to us, actually disrupted everybody. It took everybody to a place where we now have to start developing new skills and adapt to the changes that are happening around us. Now, one of the things that we do in the curriculum is we give relevant instruction and deeper learning. So one of the things we do is we bring in cognitive skills. We work on the children in critical thinking. We put the problem right in front of them and we begin to question, high-level questioning. We give that to them, and then we ask them to solve problems and to make decisions and also interpret most of the things that they come up with. Then knowledge in literacy and communication, that is very important in literacy and communication. Through literacy and communication, they adapt new knowledge, they learn new things, all that. Then digital active listening, that's also important, because when you work in a team, when the children are working in a team, we actually talk to them about having time to speak, giving everybody an equal opportunity to speak their mind and listen to other people's opinion, and from there they can actually differ or improve on their own interpretation of the problem. Now, digital literacy was forcefully thrown in our face in the past 2 years, because we saw this coming, that a time will come in the future where our children are going to be digital natives. And as digital native, it is very important that in the school where the children are using the technology that will help them in their future relationships. Creativity, that exposes them to innovation. So right now, they can be solving problems in class using gamifying styles, like the competition we had earlier in the year. It was all about gaming, but they were solving problems. They were coming up with innovations. They were having critical thinking. They had to think through a lot of problems. They had to make decisions, whether it was right or wrong, they had to make it. And so all these are things that have to be in the curriculum. Then interpersonal skills, that's where the teamwork comes in sport activity, in the classroom, when they have to do a show and tell, if they have a project, they are put in groups. All these are the things that help them to become very strong teamwork, collaboration, future digital natives. And they are able to cooperate with others. They are empathic with other children, and they can come to a place of trust, and they can also work out their conflict and resolution and negotiation. That I will discuss when we get to leadership. My next slide is on human potential. We are very, very aware of artificial intelligence. These are machines that are already mastering many of the tasks that are being performed by humans. People are still more adept at creative, but if you look at it from another perspective, you say as AI is getting into all these tasks and all that, we still need humans to manage these computers. We need humans to manage AI. And how do they do this? They have something the computer does not have. That's creativity juices. They have imagination. They have the critical thinking skills, and they have social interaction. And so with all these that have been created and been developed in all these children, it helps them to better organize themselves for the future and be able to manage AI, the machines. So in the long run, the machines will not just take over the job, but they will have a human face at the background, putting all the commands inside of them and creating all those commands that they use to do the job. So the educational system of the future will have to develop all these inherent abilities in humans, so they are equipped to partner and manage AI for their competencies in the future. So there is a man called Alvin Toffler. He said in his book titled Future Shock, he said the illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So we must encourage the children to embrace learning and give room to them to keep questioning everything that they see, because that way they will be able to learn, unlearn and relearn. And that's what has happened in the past few months when COVID came. Now I'm up to leadership and responsibility. Now this is very, very important in the everyday child. I have taken these 7 habits from a book written by Chantel, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Kids. It has worked because it's something we have practiced where I work. And in it, I'll just browse through it quickly because of time. The first one says is you are be proactive. Being proactive just simply means you're responsible, you take initiative, and you choose your action. So these are very, very important skills that have to be imbibed in children. And these 7 habits, they are the roadmap to becoming a leader, and it's also a life skill that can take you from being a toddler all the way to adulthood. Begin with the end in mind simply just means that you do the right thing at the right time without even being asked. So the children are very quickly in the young years, they're already being, worked, they're already being guided and positioned in a place where they actually do things the right time without being asked. And then even when no one is looking, they are working. Then another one is put first things first. That means that they have to spend time in the relevant things. They have to spend their time on relevant things before other things. So they must always remember that they need to put important things first and say no to things that are not important so they can prioritize. That takes me to the next leadership skill, is think win-win. In a situation where there's a problem between two children and there's dispute or they're arguing over any issue or whatever it may be, this gives them an opportunity to say, okay, I can win, you can win, we can all win. So they come to a place of negotiation, conflict resolution, and then nobody says, I won, you win, I win, and everybody wins. Now, seek first to understand them to be understood. That one just simply means you have to listen. Try to listen to what other people are saying, listen to their ideas. So we incorporate this into the children, and then you have to listen to the viewpoints of other people. You can't always be right. They have to know very quickly, because children can be opinionated if you don't quickly let them know on time that there are skills you have to adapt, and one of these is you have to remember there are other people who have feelings, who have ideas that might even be better than yours. So you have to learn to listen. So seek first to understand, and then you can be understood. Then the next one is synergize. That simply means getting along with every other person, no matter the race, the color, whatever it means, whoever the person is. You should be able to work with people. You shouldn't have difficulty in working in a group or in a team. And then the last one, which is very, very important, that one is sharpen the sword, and that is you should eat right for your body, exercise, spend time with families, do something for other people, make other people happy. So now the first three habits simply gives you an internal, should I say this way, an internal victory. It makes you feel very good when you have been able to master it. So the children are working continually over a period of time to master the first three, because once you get victory in yourself, after a while it will now be easier to get the public victory. And the public victory has to do with the fourth to the sixth one. So with that, you are good to go. And then the last one is very easy, and you just find yourself doing things for people. You exercise to keep your body fit, you eat the right food, and then you keep in touch with families and friends. I want to encourage, I want to say here that you should please encourage your child's curiosity. Let them solve their own problems. Let them earn their reward by effort. Do not allow them nag you, give in to their whim or desire for a toy. Self-confidence comes for a toddler who is able to jump over an obstacle. This level of accomplishment comes with practice and hard work. Sometimes you just worry over the little toddler, but actually that little toddler just needs to have that feel of accomplishment, and that comes with giving them that self-confidence to go ahead and do what they have to do to continually build on their self-confidence and then build on their level of accomplishment as time goes on. We also understand in the educator's perspective that emotion, research has shown that emotion can have an effect on the child's memory. And so children who are happy are more likely to remember information presented to them, whereas children who are unhappy are less likely to remember the information presented. So this was by Levin and Burgess 1997. This was their quote. And we know that in school, once a child really know that that child will definitely learn. If the child is in a good mood, the child will certainly learn, because those that had mood swings and all that, we know how we have to manage them and get them back to learning again. So in conclusion, I'm going to say that you should train your child for the world they will live in, not the world the child is healthy, and age, supported, and challenged lifelong learner. Whatever cannot adapt will soon so. Thank you very much, everyone, that we did this because of time. I've said my bit, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Omoze, for that wonderful presentation. I definitely feel we're going to have a series 2 on this topic because there's still so much to learn from both speakers. Before I go to the key highlights of what Mrs. Omoze said, please note that the Q&A box is open. Post as many questions as you can. The ones we can answer because of time, we would answer and send them via mail to you. For Mrs. Omoze's presentation, the key highlights are: how do we see and react to the situation and the world around us? What is your mindset all about? We have to all open our mindset to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And lastly, we need to train our children for the world they would live in and not the world we live in. Thank you very much for the two presenters for those wonderful presentations. Already I have a few questions and I'll start taking them one after the other. To start our Q&A session for today, I will start off with Mrs. Kuti. This question is to you. How can I parent intentionally to excel when there are so many distractions? And it's also tied to another question from another speaker who says, how do working class parents ensure that they raise a total child despite the fact that they are always busy? So I guess those two questions are tied together. Mrs. Kuti.
Okay, hello. Okay, yeah, so I think the two questions, like you said, are tied together. Has to do with, okay, how do I parent intentionally when I am busy, when I have so much going on for me? A working class parent has so much work to do, and there's so much to do at the office and so much to do at home. But I think it's just the law of prioritizing that would have to come into play here. How important is the family? How important is the upbringing of the, because I mean, whichever way we look at it, is that at the end of the day, the child, the job would go, but the child would remain with you forever. So there just has to be a way to prioritize and fix the child, whatever support system that you need to put in place. For some people, like, okay, like for me, I had to leave my job when I started having my children. I had to leave my job, and then after many years later, after I'd had all of them and they had, grown to an extent, I came back, but not everybody may have that opportunity and not everybody may want to do that. So however, if you can't do that, you put a support system in place. People who can help you to be all of these things that you want to be, to ensure that you are overseeing the development, the total development and the total well-being of your child. But we cannot ignore it. No matter how busy we are, we cannot ignore it. We cannot say, oh, look, let me follow my career. When I chase my career and I get to a point, I would come back to the child. Like I explained concerning the different developmental stages, the dough would have to be made properly. The dough would have to rise. So if the dough isn't made properly and the dough is not, when it's time for it to rise, you're unable to make adjustment, by the time you're baking the dough, it is almost, not completely, but almost too late to begin to make amendments. So it's important that we just look at, okay, where am I lagging behind? Is there a support system that I can bring? Is there somebody I can bring into my home? Could it be my mom? Could it be my mom-in-law? Could I pay for a well-trusted nanny or a family member? Or do I have a friend that can support me during this period and we support each other? There just has to be a support system. So once that support system is in place, yes, then you're ready to parent intentionally to excel. Remember, the most important thing is that there has to be a willingness. Once the willingness is there, then you can achieve your goals, your parenting goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kuti. Most important thing my takeaway from there is you need a support system.
Yes.
My next question goes to Mrs. Omoze. When is the best time to start teaching children about money and financial discipline?
I didn't hear you. Can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
When is the best time When is the best time to start teaching children about money and financial discipline?
Okay, is that for me?
Yes, ma'am, the question is for you, ma'am.
Simple. We start teaching money from 4-year-olds. We teach it in the curriculum. They start recognizing the that is being used in different countries. Hello.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello,
yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, I said the best time to start is the age when nursery 2.
Okay, I think what Mrs. Omoze is trying to say is
where they itemize all their recycled items, they put, they just, you know, take money, maybe 2 cups or 5 cups, and then they get off the shopkeeper. So very quickly, the children are exposed to money from age 4, and then they learn to save their money and even invest.
Thank you, Mrs. Omoze. I think the summary of that is they have a curriculum right at the very early stage to start teaching children how to start saving money. My next question here is for Mrs. Kuti. Special needs children in the 21st century. Any tips?
Okay. Special needs children. Well, before we term them as special needs, they are first children. And so they need the same kind of care as other children would need. Sorry, am I on? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's just that you may need to do a lot more work with special needs children. You have to be even a bit more intentional. You need loads of support system. Yes, as a working class mom that has a special needs child, your support system has to be super, because yes, the economy is such that you still have to work. You still have to work. So there are special schools that can help with that. There are special facilities that can help, even if you don't want to take, sometimes we don't want to take the child to a special needs school, but we can engage professionals. We can engage special needs professionals that can come in and help the child. But most importantly, the aspects of your own pie, which is parenting intentionally to excel, being there for the child, coaching the child, building up the child's self-esteem. It is so, so important. You have to be the one to do that. Just affirming the child all the way, telling the child, I can do it. Even when it looks like the child wants to give up, you have to be so big about the building up the emotional tank of the child. So you have to be that great coach. You have to be that great counselor, that's great caregiver. You have to be that great guardian. It's a lot of work, but it is doable once we decide that we want to do it. It's just about getting the right support system in place to be able to achieve that.
See, back to our support system. So we all know it's really key for us to have a good support system. So I have 2 questions here tied together again, and this goes to the country head of EDC. So the first one, thank you EDC management for this important talk. Can you advise on any investment option that one can engage in for your children to secure a good financial future for them? And the second question also is, what kind of investment options do you have in EDC to encourage my child to start saving early?
Hi, thank you, MEC, for those questions. Well, I think I get these questions quite often, so it's quite easy for me to tackle. In terms of education and getting children to also invest, I think for me, you need to really just start early in terms of planning for your child's future, ensuring that you articulate what it is that you want the child to do in terms of education, whether it's saving towards secondary or tertiary education. I think it's something that you just need to start early. And I always tell parents that you need to cut your coat according to your size. I mean, you know how much you earn, you know what your capabilities are. Yes, you should stretch yourself as much as possible, but you also need to live within your means and set goals that are not too far out of it. That is on the education side. In terms of the children themselves, my own thinking, and I was almost going to jump in to answer the question that was posed to Mrs. Omoze. I think children themselves should instill that discipline of knowing how to invest at a very early age. A classic example, you give a child a 5,000 naira gift at a birthday. You find that most children between the ages of 5 and 18 want to buy something immediately, whether it's a toy or a shirt or a game or some food. Nothing is channeled towards keeping some of that money for a rainy day. My advice is that we need to start small. I know many of the banks have come up with so many different products, really tied around savings accounts. Personally, I have concern with savings accounts because they are still relatively short-dated and temporary. I would go for a longer-dated investment because my thinking is that with a child, you're not saving to spend money tomorrow. You're saving to spend money when you're an adult, where you can make more informed decisions. So definitely there are different avenues where EDC can actually address these 2 points. On the education side, we have investment plans that are suited to do this. For kids, we have investment solutions that are tailored. Thankfully, we have come up with 2 unique products that help address and make it easy for parents and wards and guardians to tackle these 2 subjects. One is what we will call our EduVest product. That is a seamless, easy way for parents to save towards their children's education. So it's something that allows regular contributions. There's a second product called the Kiddies Vest that is designed specifically for children that allows them to make regular contributions towards whatever goals they set for themselves. Now, these 2 products are unique because they're also long-term in nature. They're not things that encourage 2-3 month savings and then you spend, because the assumption is that these goals are long-dated goals. So I feel that definitely EDC has something to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Fela, for that. How do you ensure that we raise a strong child without subjecting her to the societal gender role and also maintaining her femininity? Mrs. Kuti, I guess that will be for you.
Okay. Sorry, could you come again with the question? How do we raise a successful child without subjecting her to what, please?
Sorry, I need to scroll back to that. Okay, while I'm trying to get that back on the screen, let me take another question for Mrs. Omoze. Okay. How relevant do you think the school curriculum is to the anticipated world of the future? Does the current STEM worldwide actually prepare a child for the future?
Thank you. Thank you. The curriculum in the new season, when I say new season, in the past 5 years, has been reviewed continually, especially in Nigeria. Of course, all over the world, in education space, there's been a lot of revamping, renewal, looking at what is relevant and what is not relevant, and is being thrown out. Whatever is not relevant is thrown out. What is relevant is thrown in. And because of the new surge of technology, have looked at it again to see how they can bring in things that will be relevant for their future. So very quickly, if you notice this new year in Nigeria and the world at large, a lot of things have been done in the tech world. A lot of children have been exposed to using technology for their work. That is, they are now asked to use apps, to use different forum or platforms to do their work rather than the everyday paper and pencil or paper and biro. So the curriculum has worked in such a way that they're actually working towards building the capacity that is necessary for the future by bringing in technology into the school curriculum. They are bringing in leadership skills. That is so key. Very quickly, even as small as the 5-year-old, they're learning it. They're learning leadership skills. Very quickly, they know that. They're learning how to negotiate. They're learning how to resolve conflict. They're learning how to work in a team, because if you don't put all that into consideration, there's going to be a handicap curriculum that would not be relevant for their future. And also, even in mathematics, if you look at the problem solving, they're teaching them even money, how to make investment. They're doing a lot of things right now. So it's no longer 1+1 anymore. It's about what is the relevant. Why am I learning what I learn? Why do I have to do what I'm doing? Why am I learning? Why am I playing holy? Why? Why do I have to learn the different denominations all over the world? Why? So these are the questions that children are posing, and because of that, everybody, every teacher, all educators are working almost like every 6 months. Now there's a revamping, there's a review. There's something new, there's something relevant, there's something we can do for the future. And if you travel wide, you'll notice that in all those airports, you see that you have to go through custom yourself. You have to impute, you have to go into the computer and just punch in some stuff. But way back, it used to be human that used to do that. But at the background, we know that there are humans who are operating these things. And so we have to equip the children, so to speak. So the curriculum is ever changing as the world is evolving. So I can say that in Nigeria and all over the world, that is already being looked into. And a lot of schools are already adapting to the new changes and putting in place things that will help build the future child. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Omoze. Mrs. Kuti, how do we ensure that we raise a strong girl child without subjecting her to the society gender roles and also maintaining her femininity? Quickly.
Okay. It's about letting her develop a good identity, understanding who she is as a person before her gender. She's a person, just like the boy child. So you're raising up your boy child and your girl child, exposing them to basically the same activities. Like I run a summer school where everything that we do with the boys, we do with the girls. So when it comes to building, whether it is robotic, whether it's engineering work, whether it is building blocks, the girls are also allowed to do it. So whether it is changing the wheels of a car, whether it is fixing the car, the girls are also allowed to do it. So you develop that esteem in them that, look, you can do whatever a boy can do. However, the difference is that, okay, you are a girl, you still have your femininity. And so you still want to look good, you still love to dress well, and you know that, okay, one day you're going to become a mother, and okay, so you embrace, you teach the child to embrace her feminine side, but at the same time, not allow that feminine side to deter her from achieving. Let her go for her goals, whatever it is that she wants to do. Let her do it. She wants to climb the mountain, fantastic. She wants to drive the car, fantastic. She wants to fix the car. She wants to fix the air conditioner system that is broken at home, fantastic. Let her go ahead and do it. So it is raising her as first of all a human being, and then as a female. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to round up. I still have so many questions, and I wish I could answer all these questions. But please keep posting your questions. We're going to share these questions with our speakers, and the one related to EDC, we shall all answer and send them via email to everybody. I want to say a big thank you to Mrs. Kuti and Mrs. Omoze, and to everybody that dialed into this session. I definitely have learned quite a bit tonight, and I hope you too have learned something from this webinar. And as I said, I'm sure we're going to have a second part because there's still so much to learn. And like I said from the beginning, our children are our future, so we must be intentional in parenting them. To give us a closing remark, we have back on the screen our country head for securities, wealth, and asset management business, Mr. Fela Popola. But immediately after his own session, we're going to have our contact details for you to ask us any questions whatsoever, for you to get started on your investment for your children. Please feel free to call us on those details. Thank you and have a good evening.
Okay, thanks, JMC. Firstly, I would like to thank Mrs. Kuti and Mrs. Omoze for what I would call fantastic presentations. Clearly, there's a lot to learn. I mean, I thought I bagged all the parenting certifications because I have a 15-year-old, I have a 12-year-old, but I now have a 4-year-old where I need to go back to the drawing board and start again. So again, many thanks to the two presenters. In terms of how EDC can help. I mean, clearly we're not in the profession of providing advice on children and how to bring them up. But in terms of investment solutions and advice, I think that's where our competence is strongest. My advice is that a lot of the decisions one makes in life has to do with financials, and your finances rather. And I urge and I beckon on you to take that very seriously. I've spoken to many parents rather, who have very lofty goals and objectives for their children, but never really bring this into fruition because they never practicalize on this. I've heard many people speak about how they want their children to go and do a master's degree in an Ivy League university abroad. And they say this 10 years before, and 9 years after, you find that they've not even really done much, so that goal cannot be achieved. My advice to you is that whatever it is that you set your mind upon doing, I think you can. The question is, you need to start earnestly and start on time. When you start, the drive and the zeal to complete and achieve what you set comes naturally. And I think that you will have the urge and the firepower to ensure that you achieve those things. So please, don't hold back. Let us speak with you. If there's anything that EDC can do to help achieve that journey and goal, please, we are here for you. In terms of the products and services that we have on offer, I will not dwell on this too much, but I'm sure there's something for you at EDC. Achieving your goals for your children, I would say, is perhaps one of the most important, if not one of the most important goals you could set for yourself. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to the audience for listening. I wish you a very good rest of the weekend and the evening, and hopefully we shall see very soon in one of our other webinars. Have a good evening and good night.